What's up, everybody? Richard back this week with another episode of the 𝗧𝗛𝗘 Report. And this week, we have quite a bit of news to get to. Now, the last few weeks haven't had a whole lot to go off of with news, but this week we have some stuff to talk about. And I was originally going to do a album review for the Browning's newest record, but I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, so we'll save that for next week, as well as also Of Mice and Men as well. So with that, let's just dive in because there's a lot to get to, and I don't want to waste any time. First up, now this has been an ongoing saga for a few days now, so I wanted to start with the earliest article here, which is involving Every Time I Die vocalist Keith Buckley. Now, it was initially reported by the band that Keith was going to be taking time away from mental health. They have a statement here. Mental health is a real issue, and when not treated, it has an impact on so many people. Keith needs to take time away, rest, blah, 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 blah. Well, from there, we have the next part of this where Keith Buckley came out on Twitter and said that he has been ostracized from the band and has said that his brother lied to him, his brother being guitar player Jordan Buckley. Now, in a statement on Twitter, now to kind of synopsize this, or to summarize this rather, basically, Keith was saying that he overheard his brother telling an outsider that, they had been looking to replace him for some time. And then he also mentioned that he had been traveling separately from the band to be away from alcohol and other behaviors like that. So that's what Keith has been claiming, that he has been ostracized. And then the band came back. And then, as 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 says here, following yesterday's confusing developments regarding Every Time I Die, the band has now issued a clarification regarding vocalist Keith Buckley's early departure from the group's tour, the remainder of which has since been canceled. Then they said in a statement here, this was more recent from Saturday. We apologize to the fans for this weekend for the cancellation of the remaining 3 shows of the Radical Tour. Keith Buckley is a crucial part of Every Time I Die, and we apologize if our previous statement made it seem as if he was in recovery or came off as insensitive to the issues at hand. We are working on things privately now. Please give us a moment, and we will see you at ETID the season. So what's really interesting to me about this is the band they put out like a statement basically referring to Keith's mental health, as the reason why he wasn't there. But then Keith kind of came back and he's like, hey, no, listen, this isn't a mental health thing. It's that you guys, for lack of a better term, are not nice. He feels kind of like an outsider in his own band that he's been a part of for 20 years at this point. And I think, if that's the case, if he kind of feels like he's on the outside looking in because of his personal decisions to not drink or participate in those types of activities, I think that's kind of messed up. Now, of course, these guys have been around each other for years and years and years, so I think they'll patch it up. The old saying, brothers fight, and I don't think that this is uncommon. I do hope that this gets resolved, though, because Keith is obviously a vital aspect to the band. He's been the voice of the band for 2 decades now. So I think things will patch up, but it is definitely interesting to see, Keith come out and address all this in a public setting such as Twitter. So that is definitely something to look out for, and we will continue to bring updates to this story each and every week here on the 𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪 Report as this continues to develop. But now this is an interesting story here. So August Burns Red vocalist Jake Luhrs is missing the remainder of their tour due to an emergency situation. Now, we don't have any clarification on what exactly that situation is, but filling in for him is actually a guy who I would consider a friend of mine personally. That's Michael Felker of Convictions. And they said here in a statement, due to an emergency situation, Jake will be heading home for the remaining Leveler tour dates. He is okay, and we will see everyone at Christmas Burns Red. We'd like to say a big thank you to Mike from Convictions for filling in for these remaining shows. Show him some love, and we will see you tonight in Dallas. So now, since then, Mike has done a few shows with them, and Mike is obviously super stoked about the opportunity, and rightfully so. I mean, can you imagine, because I know that he works at FedEx, so he's just sitting there working at FedEx. All of a sudden, he gets a call asking him to come be the vocalist for August Burns Red. I mean, that is quite the opportunity. And, Mike is a great guy. I had him on my old podcast, the True Shot Guest Spot, and very nice guy, very humble guy. His band, Convictions, is fantastic. He's a phenomenal front man, and they've been grinding it out for a while. So if you have not heard Convictions, You've got to check them out. And if you are going to be going to any of these remaining August Burns Red shows, I highly recommend that you still go. I know that Jake is obviously a big part of why you're going, but Mike is fantastic, and you've got to see him in action. Speaking of, a new member, I shouldn't say a new member, right? Because this isn't a new member to August Burns Red. He's just replacing. But Fit for a King have announced a new drummer. Now, this came after Jared Easterling, who was actually one of the co-founding members of Fit for a King back in 2007, had decided to step away from the band after this tour that they are currently on. Now, Jared is going to be joining a country artist by the name of 𝗧𝗛𝗪, who's, major label, massive shows. And so to replace him, Fit for a King, who now have no original members from back in 2007. Jared was the last one. Now it's all different members. Although, some of these guys like Ryan, for example, have been with the band for a while. They have named a new touring drummer, 𝗧𝗛𝗪. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's of Invent Animate. And now I know a lot of people were kind of worried about Trey, leaving Invent Animate altogether because, he's one of the primary songwriters. And while he's not leaving the band, he will not be touring with Invent Animate. He will be touring with Fit for a King, but writing primarily for Invent Animate. And then Fit for a King says here in a statement, I'll pull that screen back up, we are excited to announce that Trey, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'll just say Trey. Trey will be joining the band full-time playing drums, said Fit for a King in a statement. We have been great friends and have been touring together for a long time already, so this was an easy decision for us to make. We couldn't be more thrilled to have him behind the kit with us moving forward. And then in the statement here below, this is Trey on his Instagram, I believe, talked about how he's still going to be part of Invent Animate, but he's going to be touring with Fit for a King primarily. So that's great. I think that this will allow Trey to not only have that creative outlet as a writer with Invent Animate, but he'll also be able to, let's face it, it's a little bit more of a higher platform with Fit for a King, better pay, and he'll be able to make the best of both worlds, and I think that that's awesome, especially if he can get into the room with Fit for a King, maybe even do a little bit of writing. I don't know. Sounds like he's just a touring member, but still, Jared, who... It's kind of hard to believe that he's no longer with the band, but he's not. And I wish him the best. I know that he's obviously going to a gig that is, let's face it, probably pays way more than metalcore. And hey, that's a career move for him that he's making, and that's what he's going to do. But next up, this was kind of a cool one I wanted to bring up. Ben Affleck was spotted wearing a Have Heart t-shirt out with J-Lo. Ben Affleck, obviously a Boston guy. Boston, Massachusetts guy, has been, spotted wearing Bridge 9 record shirts and stuff like that. It's unknown whether he is a Have Heart fan or anything like that, but it just seems like this guy just has a collection of Boston-related merchandise, whether it's Have Heart or Bridge 9 records or anything like that. But it's cool to see. He's out with Jennifer Lopez. Very cool to see. It's always I can't tell what license plate that is in the background. I'm sure it's California. But hey, you know what? Ben Affleck repping some Boston straight edge hardcore. You love to see it. Lorna Shore, who have taken over the deathcore scene, especially coming off of their track To the Hellfire, have announced that they have completed their 4th album, and it's the first to feature Will Ramos. They commenced tracking last month with producer and engineer Josh Schroeder, who does, Varials and King 810 in Michigan. And we don't know when this is going to be released, but we can expect, obviously, sometime in 2022, and that'll be through Century Media Records. I know this is an album that a lot of people are hyped for, and rightfully so. Lorna Shore, I've gone on the record. They're not always my cup of tea, but I appreciate what they do, and they definitely do it in a way that is going to get kids hyped. Moving on now, though, Knocked Loose have announced a tour with Kublai Khan Movements and Koyo. The tour will stretch from March 31st to May 8th, and tickets to that will be going on sale this Friday, December 10th. Motionless in White, Black Veil Brides, and Ice Nine Kills have announced a tour, a triple headliner. These tickets will also be going on sale December 10th, and this tour will stretch from March 17th through April 27th, so make sure you get those tickets. And lastly, Great American Ghost are going to be releasing an EP in January, and their first single is out now online. They went with Will Putney for this one, and their EP is actually going to be coming out on January 20th, 2022. And, their song here, Kingmaker, I thought was fantastic, by the way. I did get a chance to listen to that, and that was a fantastic hardcore song. So if you guys are into that, and also Great American Ghost is from my neck of the woods. I believe they're from the New England or New Hampshire area, so that's also very, very cool. But if you like hardcore, Great American Ghost is a band that you need to check out, and they will be releasing a new EP on January 20th, 2022 via MNRK Heavy. So with that, everybody, that does it for this week's episode of the Warped Report. Like I said, a lot of news there. Tried to get through it as quickly as I could, so that way you guys, have a bite-sized show today. And so, let me know what you guys think of this Every Time I Die saga. I mean, this is kind of wild. Have you been to any of the August Burn Red shows with Michael Felker as the vocalist? Let me know how that's been. What do you think of Jared leaving Fit for a King? Ben Affleck, I don't think he's straight edge, but what do you think of him wearing a Have Heart shirt? Lorna Shore, how pumped are you for that? Are you pumped for the Knocked Loose, Emotionless, and White, Ice Nine Kills, Black Veil Brides tours? And then Great American Ghost, are you familiar with the band? If you are you excited for the EP? And if you're not, let me know in the comments what you think of them after you go and check them out right after you watch this. But with that, everybody, that does it for this week's episode of The Warped Report. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you right here, same time, same Out of Line channel right here on YouTube. Take care, be safe, and I will see you then. Peace.